The overlooked truth about hydration for seniors. Did you know most elderly people drink water in a way that quietly harms their health? You might think, how complicated could drinking water be? But as we age, the way our bodies handle hydration changes in subtle yet powerful ways. What used to work in your 40s or 50s might now be quietly putting strain on your heart, kidneys, or digestive system, and you won't always feel it right away. That's what makes it so concerning and surprising. In this comprehensive guide, we're going to uncover 6 common water drinking habits that nearly every older adult falls into, but absolutely shouldn't. These habits seem harmless, even routine. But once you understand the science and the impact, you may never look at a glass of water the same way. Again, stay with us through the end, because not only will you learn what to stop doing, you'll also understand why it matters so much more now than it ever did before. If you're between 60 and 80 and want to stay sharp, strong, and steady on your feet, these water habits are something you cannot afford to ignore any longer. Now, let's dive deeper into these critical hydration insights that could transform your health. Habit number 1, drinking only when you feel thirsty. One of the most widespread and potentially harmful habits among older adults is waiting until you feel thirsty to drink water. At first glance, it sounds perfectly reasonable. Your body signals thirst, so you respond by drinking. Simple and intuitive, right? Unfortunately, this natural approach becomes increasingly unreliable as we age. After 60, the body's ability to recognize thirst begins to dull significantly. That crucial "I'm thirsty" signal arrives much later than it should, or sometimes doesn't register at all. The unfortunate result: chronic dehydration without even realizing it's happening. You may genuinely believe you're getting enough fluids because you're not experiencing thirst, but your body might already be struggling in ways you don't recognize. What many seniors don't realize is that dehydration at this stage of life doesn't always manifest as dry mouth or intense thirst. Instead, it frequently appears as persistent fatigue, unexpected dizziness, troublesome brain fog, or stubborn constipation, and most people rarely trace these symptoms back to insufficient water intake. I once worked with a gentleman named Walter, 74, who confidently told me, "I don't feel thirsty much anymore, so I guess I just don't need to drink as much water these days." But he was constantly tired. His blood pressure readings kept fluctuating unpredictably, and he struggled with consistent low energy. When he finally started drinking water steadily throughout the day, without waiting for thirst signals, his energy levels improved dramatically, more than he ever expected possible. As we age, staying properly hydrated isn't just about responding to bodily signals. It's about creating a steady, reliable rhythm of hydration. A cup of water in the morning when you wake, another in mid-morning, some in the afternoon and early evening. This simple routine supports every vital system in your body before problematic symptoms ever have a chance to appear. Think of water as essential daily medication for your organs. Your brain, your joints, your kidneys, and even your digestive tract all fundamentally rely on proper hydration to function optimally. Don't wait until you're noticeably parched or experiencing dizziness. If you're 60, 70, or 80 by the time you consciously feel thirsty, you're already significantly behind on your hydration needs. The solution is remarkably simple. Drink on a consistent schedule, not just in response to thirst signals. Your body will thank you with improved energy, clearer thinking, and better overall function. Habit number 2, drinking too much water at once. Another common mistake many older adults make is trying to catch up on their water intake all at once. You might suddenly realize late in the day that you haven't had nearly enough water, so you drink a full glass or two right before dinner, or worse, immediately before bed. This approach, while well-intentioned, creates its own set of problems. Here's the physiological reality. The aging body doesn't process large volumes of water the way it did in younger years. When you drink too much water in a short time frame, your kidneys are forced to work significantly harder to manage that sudden fluid load. This rapid intake can flush out vital electrolytes, put unnecessary extra pressure on your cardiovascular system, and lead to uncomfortable symptoms like bloating, nausea, or a sudden urgent need to urinate, which can seriously interrupt your sleep or even increase fall risk if you're rushing to the bathroom in the middle of the night. There's also a condition called water intoxication, medically known as hyponatremia. While relatively rare, it becomes more possible in older adults who drink large amounts of water quickly, especially when taking medications that affect sodium levels. The delicate electrolyte balance inside your cells matters tremendously. And flooding your system with too much water at once can throw that balance off, sometimes with dangerous consequences. I remember a woman named Ruth, 78, who prided herself on diligently drinking 6 full glasses of water daily, but she consumed them all within a few hours each afternoon. She frequently experienced uncomfortable fullness, unexplained fatigue, and occasional lightheadedness without understanding the connection. When she shifted to drinking smaller amounts spread consistently throughout her waking hours, everything improved noticeably. Her digestion became smoother, her sleep quality improved, and the troubling lightheadedness disappeared completely. Think of proper hydration like breathing. It should be steady and consistent, not rushed or extreme. Taking a few measured sips every hour or two throughout the day does far more for your body than suddenly chugging large amounts of water when you happen to remember. Your organs function best with gentle, consistent hydration rather than sudden floods followed by dry spells. Habit number 3, avoiding water before bed or during night hours. Many older adults make the deliberate choice to stop drinking water entirely in the evening hours, often for a very understandable reason. They want to avoid waking up repeatedly during the night to use the bathroom. No one wants disrupted sleep. No one wants to risk a potentially dangerous fall navigating to the bathroom in the dark. As a result, the habit develops of consuming no water after dinner, no water before bed, and certainly no water until morning. But here's what most people don't realize about this seemingly logical approach. This habit, practiced consistently over time, can quietly increase your risk for much more serious health issues, especially cardiovascular strain and early morning dehydration, which is a well-documented trigger for strokes and cardiac events in older adults. The human body continues to lose water throughout the night through normal breathing, through microscopic sweat, and through essential metabolic functions. If you go to bed already in a state of mild dehydration, you'll wake up even more significantly depleted. This creates a particularly vulnerable period in the early morning hours when blood becomes more concentrated and more likely to form dangerous clots. I once worked with a gentleman named Sam, 82, who had been firmly told by a well-meaning friend, "Stop drinking water after 7 p.m. or you'll be up all night using the bathroom." Following this advice diligently, he eliminated evening fluids entirely. But after several months, he started experiencing concerning symptoms, waking up with pronounced dizziness, uncomfortable dry mouth, and an alarming pounding heartbeat. His physician eventually traced these symptoms to consistent overnight dehydration and recommended a small, strategic glass of water before sleep. The positive difference was immediate and remarkable. To be absolutely clear, you don't need to drink a full large glass of water right before bed. And yes, sensibly limiting excessive fluid intake close to bedtime can certainly help reduce nighttime bathroom trips. But cutting off water completely in the early evening hours typically does more harm than good. For most seniors, instead, aim for a thoughtful balance. Sip water modestly during evening hours. Keep a small cup by your bedside if you wake up with a dry mouth. Train your bladder gradually rather than depriving your entire body of what it fundamentally needs to function properly. Your vital organs don't shut down at night. Your brain still requires adequate hydration. Your heart continues pumping. Your kidneys continue filtering. Give these essential systems what they need to perform their critical functions safely, even if it's just a few strategic sips after brushing your teeth. While avoiding nighttime water might seem to protect your sleep quality, it could simultaneously be quietly undermining your overall health in ways you don't immediately notice. The key isn't complete elimination. It's moderation and timing your intake wisely. Habit number 4, replacing water with tea, coffee, or juice. One habit that subtly works its way into many seniors' daily routines is substituting plain water with seemingly hydrating alternatives like tea, coffee, or fruit juices. These beverages feel like they're adequately doing the hydration job. They're liquids, after all. They go down smoothly. They offer pleasant flavors and enjoyable experiences, and in many cases they've been comfortable parts of your daily routine for decades. But while these alternatives might satisfy momentary thirst sensations, they typically don't provide your body with what it actually needs for optimal hydration and functioning. Let's examine why. Starting with tea and coffee. Both contain varying levels of caffeine, a natural diuretic substance. That means they actually cause your body to lose water more rapidly than it would otherwise. So, while that warm, comforting cup may feel satisfying, especially first thing in the morning, it can quietly pull more hydration from your system than it contributes back. Over time, this imbalance can leave you chronically running on empty, even if you're drinking plenty of these beverages throughout your day. Then there's juice, often perceived as a healthier alternative. It seems nutritious, and in carefully limited amounts, it certainly can offer some benefits. But most commercial juices, especially store-bought varieties, contain surprisingly high concentrations of sugar. And sugar, when it enters your bloodstream in substantial amounts, actually draws water out of your cells through osmotic pressure. That's precisely why many people experience feeling paradoxically bloated or even thirstier after consuming a glass of juice than they did before drinking it. I once worked with a couple, George and Evelyn, both in their mid-70s, who habitually drank orange juice with every single meal, believing they were making a healthy choice. We genuinely thought we were doing the right thing for our health, George explained. But both were experiencing troubling symptoms, fluctuating blood sugar levels, persistently dry skin, and frequent unexplained headaches. When they made the simple change of replacing 2 of their daily juice servings with plain water, they were genuinely surprised by how dramatically better they felt, experiencing clearer thinking, fewer food cravings, and noticeably higher energy levels throughout their days. Pure water functions fundamentally differently in your body. It doesn't compete with your organs for processing resources. It doesn't require additional metabolic energy to handle. It simply supports your body's natural functions. It helps efficiently carry nutrients, remove waste products, regulate body temperature, and properly cushion your joints. Nothing else performs these essential functions as effectively, not even herbal teas that are caffeine-free. This doesn't mean you must completely eliminate your morning coffee ritual. You can certainly still enjoy your favorite tea or the occasional glass of juice, but don't mistakenly count these as your primary hydration sources. Count them as occasional treats or pleasurable rituals instead, and make absolutely certain your body is still getting what it fundamentally needs: clean, unflavored, steady water consistently throughout each day. Habit number 5, not drinking water during meals. Somewhere along the line, a persistent myth took hold in popular health culture that drinking water with meals is somehow detrimental to proper digestion. Perhaps you've heard variations of this claim. It supposedly dilutes your stomach acid or weakens your digestive processes. Because of this widely circulated belief, many older adults have deliberately trained themselves to avoid water completely while eating, pushing aside their water glass during meals, even when they genuinely feel the need for a refreshing sip. But here's what actually happens. Physiologically, drinking modest amounts of water with meals helps break down food particles more effectively, softens food textures for easier swallowing, particularly important for older adults, and actively assists the stomach in processing nutrients more efficiently. The human body is remarkably intelligent and adaptable. It naturally adjusts the acidity levels of your digestive juices based precisely on what you eat and drink. A few sensible sips of water during your meal will not undermine this sophisticated process. In fact, it will help your digestive system handle food more smoothly and comfortably. Current scientific research actually demonstrates that appropriate hydration during meals can significantly aid in nutrient absorption. It also helps prevent overeating by creating a gentle sense of fullness, which can support healthy weight management, especially important during later years when metabolism naturally slows and excess weight can impact mobility and health. I once worked with a gentleman named Larry, 75, who stubbornly insisted on eating his lunch completely dry every day. I've read that I shouldn't weaken my stomach acid, he explained to me. But he frequently experienced difficulty swallowing, dealt with recurring uncomfortable heartburn, and felt noticeably sluggish after meals. Once he began incorporating just half a glass of room temperature water with his meals, his digestion improved remarkably. I genuinely feel lighter after eating now, he reported. And importantly, I'm not struggling to swallow dry food anymore. That's the essential insight. Balance is key. You don't need to consume a full large glass of water while eating, but having water readily available, taking small mindful sips throughout your meal, and staying gently hydrated during your eating experience can actively support digestion rather than hindering it, as commonly believed. Skipping water entirely during meals might feel like a wise health choice, especially if it's something you've heard recommended for years by well-meaning sources. But in most cases, it's actually a habit that silently works against your body's natural digestive rhythm and needs. Don't be afraid to hydrate appropriately while you nourish yourself. It's one of the simplest ways to help your body efficiently perform the digestive functions it already inherently knows how to do. Habit number 6, drinking cold water. Instead of room temperature, one subtle but surprisingly impactful habit many seniors maintain is drinking ice-cold water, especially during warm weather or after physical activity. It feels refreshingly satisfying without question. But for older adults particularly, regularly choosing very cold water over room temperature options might be quietly interfering with optimal digestion, healthy circulation, and even your body's ability to regulate its internal systems efficiently. Here's the physiological explanation. As we age, our digestive processes naturally slow somewhat. Our blood vessels become more sensitive to temperature changes. Our internal thermoregulatory systems aren't quite as responsive as they once were in younger years. When you introduce very cold water into this increasingly delicate system, your body must redirect valuable energy to warm that liquid to body temperature before it can be properly used. That necessary warming process can delay digestion, temporarily constrict blood vessels, and even make you feel unexpectedly sluggish or chilled. Not just in your mouth, but throughout your chest and stomach regions. I once worked with a woman named Doris, 81, who kept a pitcher of ice water by her recliner every single day. She consumed it with every meal and throughout the day, but she frequently experienced uncomfortable bloating and sometimes even unexpected chills despite warm summer temperatures. Her healthcare provider suggested simply switching to room temperature water for a 1-week trial period. The results were remarkable. She experienced noticeably less bloating, greater comfort after meals, and a body that didn't constantly feel like it was working to counteract the cold. Room temperature water supports your body's natural processes without creating temperature shock to your system. It flows more gently through your organs, facilitates digestion more effectively, and helps maintain steady blood circulation, especially important considerations if you have conditions like arthritis, diabetes, or cardiovascular issues that are common in older adults. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy refreshingly cold water again. Having a cool drink after gardening outdoors or following a neighborhood walk is perfectly fine in moderation. But when it comes to your regular daily hydration habits, especially with meals or on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, room temperature water is often the gentler, wiser choice for your body at this stage of life. It's a small adjustment that most people completely overlook or dismiss, but for older adults that seemingly minor change can potentially mean fewer digestive discomforts, more consistent energy levels, and less unnecessary strain on bodily systems that are already working a bit harder with advancing age. Final thoughts: small changes, significant impact. By the time we reach our 60s, 70s, or 80s, the way our bodies process and utilize water isn't identical to our younger years. Yet remarkably, most people don't make any thoughtful adjustments to their hydration habits. They simply continue doing what they've always done, unaware that these seemingly small daily choices could be gradually undermining their health, energy, and overall well-being. Today we've examined 6 water-related habits that are incredibly common among older adults: waiting until you feel noticeably thirsty before drinking, consuming too much water all at once, avoiding water entirely during evening hours, relying primarily on flavored or caffeinated drinks instead of plain water, skipping water during meals, and consistently choosing very cold water over room temperature options. Each one of these habits might seem relatively harmless when viewed in isolation, but together they can significantly reduce the very thing your body needs most as you age: steady, consistent, supportive hydration that works with your changing physiology rather than against it. The encouraging news is that every single one of these habits is remarkably easy to modify. You don't need expensive equipment, complicated tracking systems, or strict regimented schedules. Just gentle awareness, thoughtful adjustments to timing, taking a few mindful sips spread throughout your day, and making a conscious choice to make water your health ally instead of an afterthought. So I'd like to ask you, which of these hydration habits surprised you most? Which one do you now realize you've been practicing for years without questioning its impact? And most importantly, what small, manageable change are you willing to implement this week to better support your energy levels, your digestive comfort, and your overall well-being? Thank you sincerely for joining us today for this important discussion. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Please consider leaving a comment below sharing one insight you gained today and how you plan to apply it in your daily life. Your perspectives are incredibly valuable to our community. If you found this information helpful and potentially beneficial for others in your life, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and consider sharing with friends or family members who might also benefit. Your support enables us to continue creating informative content designed to help seniors live their healthiest, most vibrant lives possible. We look forward to connecting with you again in our next video. Until then, stay well and stay hydrated the right way.